Greetings from Cairo, my dear viewers, the land of the pharaohs, and Omar Sharif of Lawrence of Arabia. This is Sharif Hamdi, the Egyptian film critic and historian, talking to you about our new episode with, like promised, this is the episode of Letters in Movies. I compiled 8 movies and divided the video into 2 parts. In this part, I'm going to talk about 4 movies using letters as a motivation for the screenplay and the motivation of the characters, and where the letter plays an important part in the story of the narrative of these movies. I'm going to talk chronologically about these 4 movies and hope you're going to enjoy my talk. So let's start. The first movie we're going to talk about is the 1940 movie The Shop Around the Corner, okay? Starring James Stewart and Margaret Sullivan, and directed by the German director who moved to Hollywood in the 30s, Ernest Lubitsch. Mr. Lubitsch was a favorite director of Billy Wilder, who learned a lot from him and was known for the Lubitsch touch, okay? And one of his great accomplishments, by the way, he died very young at the age of 55 in 1947. And one of his late movies was the 1942 the movie To Be or Not to Be, which was a satire against Nazis and Hitler during the war, okay? This is another story, but our film today is The Shop Around the Corner. How are we using the letter theme in Shop Around the Corner? The Shop Around the Corner is the story of these 2 characters that are working together in a gift shop in Budapest, in the 1930s, while the Nazi regime was growing again, okay? And they use a dating service using corresponding letters, in order to find someone to date. What they don't know is that they are dating. They cannot stand each other at the shop, okay? They cannot stand each other, Margaret Sullivan and James Stewart, okay? While they can pour loads of beautiful words on their letters, exchanging letters, okay? Mr. John Stewart will be the one who will discover that he is corresponding to the girl he doesn't stand up at the gift shop, okay? And he will discover in the middle of by the first part that she is the one. So the narrative will be cunning after that. How we want to tell her, I am the one talking to you through the letters, okay? It's a beautiful film, a beautiful charging film, and has a very beautiful resolution, and it was very successful in 1940, one of the most successful films of Ernest Lubitsch, okay, the Lubitsch touch. This beautiful film, okay, The Shop Around the Corner, with Margaret Sullivan, James Stewart. In fact, guys, this film was remade by Hollywood in 1999, okay, by the beautiful director Nora Ephron, okay. Yes, it is a remake. Its remake was You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks, okay, and Meg Ryan, okay. Nora Ephron loved the film The Shop Around the Corner, okay. While using real letters in this film, she used the new form of technology, which is email, in order for the 2 characters. Here, Tom Hanks has a conglomerate of book stores, while The Shop Around the Corner here is the small bookstore of Meg Ryan, okay. They will exchange. They hate each other, and she's hating Tom Hanks because he's gonna maybe buy her neighborhood and build. He's gonna build a great store in front of her small store. Okay. So as you can see, Nora Ephron يعني, transformed the 1930s setting of using letters in a small gift shop into a book conglomerate business in a small shop using emails. And it is the same will happen with يعني by the end of the first act, James Stewart will discover this is the same way here. Tom Hanks will discover that Meg Ryan and how he's gonna deal. I cannot tell you how I love the last scene of this movie in the park. I'm not gonna ruin it, huh? These two movies are really, guys, very, 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 very beautiful. Okay, The Shop Around the Corner and the remake. Okay, the late Nora Ephron died in 2012. Okay. And there is a retrospective documentary on this disc in 2008 where Nora Ephron, Tom Hanks, and Meg Ryan were reminiscing about the movie 10 years later. It's a beautiful retrospective when my dear Nora was telling Tom Hanks, what are we doing right now? He was telling her, my dear, this is called special features for the DVD, when people used to have physical media, now not streaming. Okay, guys. So this is my first movie, The Shop Around the Corner, okay, using letters for two characters to interact with a remake. It's a remake. You've Got Mail, and here is our next theme. Let me take a sip. Okay, so the next film, or the next series of film using letters, it is actually a novel by a French novelist published in 1782 by the novelist Pierre Choderlos Delacroix. It's a strange name, Pierre Choderlos Delacroix, who died in 1803 at the age of 61. He published in 1782 his novel Dangerous Liaisons, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, which is about the aristocratic society, okay, and the correspondence between an evil marquise called the Marquise de Merteuil, okay, and a playboy called Vicomte de Valmont, okay. This novel was adapted many times for the screen, okay. One of the earliest adaptation was the 1959 film, the French film Les Liaisons Dangereuses by Roger Vadim. Okay, Roger Vadim. It was in 1959. Of course, Roger Vadim, one of his wives was Jane Fonda, whom we saw at the age of 88 glowing in Cannes. Okay, and of course he introduced Gérard Depardieu, Brigitte Bardot in and God Created Woman. Anyway, okay, what is this movie about? What is the novel Dangerous Liaison about? Okay, actually it is about this Marquise de Merteuil having bets with the Comte de Valmont, how to manipulate people and destroy relationships, where this Valmont seduces women believing that he loves them, and then he destroys them. Okay, so this movie, it is a modern adaptation where Valmont is played by the late Gérard Philippe, who sadly died very young at the age of 36, but left a long legacy of movies in French films. Okay. And then the Marquise de Merteuil is played by the evil Jean Moreau, okay, Jean Moreau. Jean Moreau, of course, is the woman who gave Emir Kusturica the Palme d'Or in 1995, okay, and she appeared with Louis Malle in L'Ascenseur pour le Chauffeur. In the 50s with Maurice Ronet, Elevator to the Gallows. She's a very renowned French actor. She died in 2017, okay? And the third character in the novel, Marianne Trevell, is played by Annette Struyberg. Annette Struyberg. Okay, Annette Struyberg actually was married to Roger Vadim at the time. Okay, it's a modern adaptation of the novel. Of course, it's a very manipulative novel using letters. Okay, the screenplay revolves around the correspondence between the characters, where the Marquise de Merteuil writes to Valmont. Okay. Anyway, check it out. This is the first adaptation of our novel, Dangerous Liaison. The second adaptation was in 1988. Okay, Dangerous Liaison with Glenn Close in the role of Jean Moreau, Le Marquise de Merteuil, and then Valmont was played by Jean Malkovich, while Marianne Trevell was played by the innocent Michelle Pfeiffer. Okay, actually, this is an early role. Yes, this is an early role to Uma Thurman from Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction. Okay, this is when I saw this in the mid 50s, in the mid 90s, I was so taken by the brutality and the banality of evil and the manipulation, and you have to feel for the character of Michelle Pfeiffer in this film. This film is really tough and cruel, and the novel is really cruel, guys. By the way, this was released in 1988 and received critical acclaim and received 3 Oscars for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Direction, and Best Costume Design. And it is directed by the still living with us British director Stephen Frears. Actually, the same year, another adaptation by the Czech director Milos Forman, who did Amadeus and Ragtime, did an adaptation of Dangerous Liaison called Valmont, by the name of Leconte Valmont. Okay, here Valmont was played by Gérard Philippe in 1959. Valmont was played by Jean Malkovich in 1988, and it was played by Colin Firth from Mamma Mia, of course, and The King's Speech. Okay, and the Marquise de Merteuil was played by Annette Bening. This movie was released a year later. Actually, it was critically received. It was a success critically a success, but a failure due to the Stephen Frears adaptation. Okay, some say it is a better adaptation, and from the irony of box office, like I said, the Dangerous Liaison of Stephen Frears garnered Oscars, while Valmont didn't receive anything by Milos Forman. Valmont was released in 1989. Finally, about Dangerous Liaison and Letters, in 1999, the movie has a modern settings with the movie Cruel Intentions, with Ryan Phillippe, Reese Witherspoon, and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Okay, in order not to be okay, I discovered that I have talked a long time, and I'm gonna split this video into 2 parts. Okay, yalla.